The stars shone coldly in the viewport as Admiral Vextan of the Hegemony warship Conqueror surveyed the small human settlement below. His mandibles clicked with anticipation. Another primitive world to add to their ever-growing empire. Pathetic. Defenses, his second-in-command reported. Their technology appears to be at least 3 generations behind galactic standard. Begin the assault, Vextan ordered. I want control of these colonies before the next cycle. Make an example of any resistance. The Hegemony ships descended upon New Horizon colony like metallic predators. Their energy weapons cut through the modest defensive shields within minutes. Buildings crumbled as panic spread among the colonists. Some fought back with surprisingly effective tactics, but they were hopelessly outmatched. They fight well for primitives, Vextan observed, but it will not save them. Similar scenes played. Out at Galileo Base and Frontier Station, 3 human colonies, 3 swift victories. The Vexillar Hegemony added another conquest to their long list, transmitting victory announcements throughout their territories. What the Hegemony forces failed to notice were the small, nondescript communication buoys that launched during the attacks, slipping away into deep space, carrying urgent messages toward Earth. On the other side of the galaxy, Amara Chen stared at the emergency transmission in horror. As Director of Colonial Security, she had hoped this day would never come. The holographic display showed the destruction in vivid detail, homes burning, civilians running, Hegemony troops establishing control points. They hit all 3 outer colonies simultaneously, her assistant Lee said, voice shaking. Casualty reports are still coming in, but it's bad. Amara closed her eyes briefly. Alert the Council. Full emergency protocols. Deep beneath the Himalayan. Mountains in a facility whose existence was known to fewer than 200 humans, the Emergency Response Council gathered. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials filed into the ancient chamber carved from solid rock. The room had existed for centuries, waiting for precisely this moment. Admiral Rajan Singh, head of Earth Defense Forces, addressed the grim-faced assembly. 3 hours ago, an alien force we've identified as the Vexillar Hegemony launched unprovoked. He attacks against our outer colonies. They believe they've encountered a primitive species with limited technological capabilities. He gestured, and a 3-dimensional map of human-controlled space appeared above the table. The attacked colonies blinked red at the very edges. This is what they think human territory looks like, he said. Then he expanded the map, revealing hundreds of hidden outposts, stations, and industrial centers. And this is the reality they have no knowledge of. Councillor Devi Patel leaned forward. They've attacked what they believe is our entire civilization, when they've merely scratched the surface of what humanity truly is. Precisely, Admiral Singh said. For 2 centuries we've maintained this facade, appearing less advanced, less unified, and far less dangerous than we truly are. We kept our true capabilities hidden, hoping we'd never need them. And now? Asked General Takeda from the far end of the table. Admiral Singh's expression hardened. Now we activate Protocol Dragon. The word sent a chill through the room. Protocol Dragon, the ultimate contingency plan. Created after humans first discovered, they weren't alone in the galaxy. A plan that would reveal humanity's true face to the stars. Across the solar system, dormant shipyards hidden in asteroid belts and beneath the moons of Jupiter began to stir. Massive vessels, the Dragon-class warships, powered up systems that had been waiting decades for this command. Throughout human space, specialized soldiers received the call they had trained their entire lives for. In her private quarters, Amara opened a sealed case containing a neural interface that would connect her directly to humanity's military network. Her grandfather had helped design Protocol Dragon, telling her stories about it when she was a child. She never thought she'd see it activated in her lifetime. They attacked us because they thought we were weak, she whispered to herself as she prepared the interface. They have no idea what they've awakened. As the Hegemony celebrated their easy victory, the first Dragon-class ships slipped silently from their hidden docks, their crews ready, their weapons armed. The dragons were awakening, and the galaxy was about to learn why humans had kept themselves hidden for so long. Part 2. The Hidden History. 250 years earlier, the Earth had stood at a crossroads. Dr. Raj Patel stared in wonder at the alien ship that had crashed in the Arctic Circle. The vessel's technology was centuries beyond anything humanity possessed. Its databanks revealed a disturbing truth. The galaxy teemed with life, much of it organized into competing empires that conquered and subjugated lesser species without mercy. "We have a choice to make," Dr. Patel told the hastily assembled world leaders in that frozen research facility. "We can announce ourselves to the galaxy now, or we can prepare." They chose to prepare. The discovery accelerated human advancement beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Reverse engineering the alien ship led to breakthroughs in propulsion, energy generation, and materials science. But humanity went further, developing technologies the ship's makers had never conceived, genetic enhancements that pushed the boundaries of human potential, AI systems that formed symbiotic relationships with their human operators, and weapons that manipulated the quantum fabric of reality itself. By the time the first human ships quietly ventured beyond the solar system, Earth was unrecognizable from a century before. Cities extended into the skies and beneath the oceans. The average human lifespan approached 200 years. Disease was a distant memory, yet the leaders of this new world remembered the warnings from that alien wreckage. They established the Deception Protocol, a vast coordinated effort to hide humanity's true capabilities from alien eyes. Only a few outer colonies would be visible to outsiders, appearing as struggling settlements of a species just beginning to reach for the stars. Behind this curtain, humanity expanded rapidly, building hidden shipyards in distant asteroid fields and establishing bases in systems thought uninhabitable by galactic standards. The Dragon program became the backbone of this secret human empire, a fleet of warships with capabilities that would seem like magic to most spacefaring races, crewed by humans who had integrated with technology in ways other species would find disturbing. Commander Lin Zhao stood before the memorial wall on Lunar Base, staring at the holographic images of the colonists who had died in the hegemony attack. Her parents had been among the first settlers on New Horizon. She had grown up there before being selected for the Dragon program. Now, New Horizon was gone. "They were brave," said Admiral Singh, stepping beside her. "They knew the risks of being our front line." Lin nodded stiffly. "They believed in the Deception Protocol, but they never expected to be tested like this." "None of us did," the Admiral admitted. "We hoped the galaxy would overlook us for at least another century." The memorial chamber overlooked the massive underground hangar where the Dragon-class ships waited. Sleek and deadly, they represented the pinnacle of human engineering, vessels that could outrun, outfight, and outthink anything the known galaxy could field against them. "The Dragon fire is yours," Admiral Singh said, pointing to the largest ship in the hangar. "She's been waiting for you." Lin's eyes widened. The Dragonfire was the first Dragon-class vessel ever built, a legend among those in the program. "Sir, I'm not senior enough to—" "This isn't about seniority," Singh interrupted. "Your neural compatibility scores are off the charts. You understand these colonies and their people better than anyone else in the program. And," he paused, "you have something the others don't." "What's that?" "The right kind of fire in your eyes, the kind we need right now." Later that day, Lin stood on the bridge of the Dragonfire as the neural interface cables connected to the ports at the base of her skull. Information flooded her consciousness. Ship systems, tactical data, crew status, all becoming extensions of her own mind. "Neural handshake complete," reported the ship's AI, its voice resonating directly in Lin's thoughts. "All systems online. The Dragonfire is yours, Commander." Lin opened her eyes, feeling the massive warship become part of her. Around the bridge, her crew, all enhanced humans with specialized genetic and cybernetic modifications, prepared for departure. "What they did to New Horizon, to all our colonies," she said, her voice steady despite the rage burning inside her. "They did out of ignorance. They had no idea who they were attacking." She brought up a tactical display of Vexillar space with a mere thought. "Our ancestors spent generations building this fleet, developing these technologies, training us for this moment. They knew someday the galaxy would come knocking." The hangar doors above them began to part, revealing the star-filled sky. "It's time to show the hegemony exactly what they've awakened," Lin said, feeling the ship's quantum drives hum to life. Prepare for jump. As the Dragonfire rose from its hidden lunar berth, similar scenes played out across human space. The dragons were launching, and the Vexillar hegemony was about to learn the true cost of their mistake. Part 3. The Dragon Awaken's Grand Admiral Vextan stood proudly before the Hegemony High Council, his chitinous armor polished to a perfect shine. Holographic displays showed the conquered human colonies, now under hegemony control. 3 settlements captured, minimal casualties to our forces, Vextan reported, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. These humans possess some interesting technology, but nothing our scientists haven't seen before. Their resistance was spirited but ultimately futile. The council members chittered their approval. Another species to add to their collection, another resource-rich region to exploit. The Vexillar hegemony had conquered dozens of worlds this way, and the pattern never changed. What of their homeworld? Asked Councillor Zith, the oldest and most cautious among them. Our scouts report it lies deeper in the sector, Vextan replied. We've dispatched a diplomatic vessel to accept their surrender and integration into the hegemony. I expect no complications. A junior communications officer rushed into the chamber, breaking all protocols of proper conduct. The council members hissed in displeasure, but the young Vexillar's panicked movement silenced them. Forgive me, exalted ones, he gasped, but we've received a message from the humans. Their surrender already? Vextan laughed. That was even quicker than I predicted. No, Admiral, it's just 7 words. The main display activated, showing simple text in the hegemony's own language. You have made a grave mistake. Watch closely. Before anyone could speak, the emergency alerts began blaring. The holographic displays shifted to show the hegemony's 4th battle fleet, 20 warships patrolling near the conquered human colonies under attack, but there was no enemy visible. One by one, hegemony ships exploded or went dark. No weapons fire was detected. No enemy vessels appeared on sensors. The mighty dreadnought Inevitable Victory simply came apart, as if its atomic bonds had been selectively severed. What is happening? Council Leader Vexmore demanded, rising from his seat. Where is the enemy? As if in answer, something massive appeared beside the last surviving hegemony cruiser. It seemed to fold into existence from nowhere, a warship larger than anything the hegemony had ever built, its hull a strange, shifting black material that absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Magnify, ordered Vextan. The image zoomed in, revealing the name etched into the hull in human script. Dragonfire. Commander Lin Zhao sat motionless in the Dragonfire's neural command chair, her consciousness extended throughout the massive vessel. Through the ship's advanced sensors, she could perceive the hegemony cruiser on multiple levels, its electromagnetic emissions, structural weaknesses, and the life signs of its terrified crew. Their weapons are powering up, reported her tactical officer Akira. Targeting solutions incoming. Lin didn't respond verbally. She simply thought the command and the Dragonfire's quantum disruption field expanded outward, engulfing the hegemony. Vessel. The cruiser's energy weapons discharged, but the beams curved impossibly around the human warship, twisting back on themselves like confused snakes. Open a channel, Lin ordered. When the connection was established, she spoke calmly. Hegemony vessel. This is Commander Lin Zhao of the Earth Defense Forces. You attacked our colonies without provocation. You killed our people. There will be consequences. She closed the channel with a thought and addressed her crew. Disable their propulsion and weapons. Leave life support intact. The Dragonfires. Systems responded instantly. Targeted quantum filaments, weapons that existed partially outside normal space, passed effortlessly through the hegemony ship's shields and severed key systems with surgical precision. Send the footage to all hegemony communication networks, Lin ordered. Let them see what happens when you attack humanity. Across the galaxy, similar scenes unfolded as other Dragon-class warships revealed themselves. The Thunderbolt appeared in orbit around a major hegemony military base, neutralizing its defenses before anyone could respond. The Worm emerged from the shadow of a gas giant to intercept and disable a hegemony supply convoy. In his private office on Earth, General Takeda activated the final phase of Protocol Dragon. With a series of encrypted commands, he awakened the sleeper agents, humans who had spent decades embedded within alien societies, gathering intelligence and establishing themselves in key positions. On the Hegemony throne world, the Assistant, Director of Planetary Defense, believed to be a member of a conquered species that had assimilated into Vexler society, received the activation code. She smiled slightly as she began systematically corrupting the planet's defensive grid from within. In the Galactic Commerce Hub, 3 human traders who had built reputations as savvy but unremarkable merchants simultaneously accessed hidden quantum communicators and began coordinating the economic assault that would cripple the Hegemony's trading networks. Back in the Council chamber, the displays showed more Dragon-class ships appearing throughout Hegemony space, impossibly advanced vessels that seemed to ignore the laws of physics as the Vexlar understood them. "How?" whispered Vextan, his mandibles trembling. "How did we not see this?" The answer came as more displays activated, showing hidden human bases and shipyards throughout the sector, facilities that had existed for decades, cloaked by technology the Hegemony couldn't comprehend. They were never primitive, Councillor Zith realized aloud. They were hiding. On the main screen, the message from humanity changed. Now it read simply, "The dragons have awakened. This is just the beginning." Part 4. The Spider's Web Grand Marshal. Vex Cora slammed his armored fist into the war table, causing the holographic display to flicker. Around him, the Hegemony's top military commanders flinched at the rare display of emotion from their usually composed leader. 4 days, he hissed. 4 days since these humans revealed themselves, and we've lost 30% of our offensive capability. The Situation Room deep beneath the Hegemony capital city buzzed with frantic activity, as analysts and tacticians tried to make sense of humanity's impossible attacks. The massive view screen showed red alerts spreading across Hegemony space like a disease. "We're consolidating our remaining fleets," General Vextran reported. "The 1st Imperial Armada is assembling at Cressia. The 3rd and 7th Defense Fleets have combined at the Tarkin shipyards. We're recalling all available vessels to defend our core systems." Vex Cora nodded grimly. "And communications?" The communications expert chittered nervously. "Still compromised. Sir Erkihi, every encryption we deploy is broken within hours. We've resorted to physical couriers for critical messages. Supply lines. Worse, another officer admitted. 17 major supply depots have reported critical failures in their inventory systems. Shipments are being misdirected or lost entirely. 3 fuel processing stations have gone offline due to unexplained system failures." The Grand Marshal stared at the tactical display. Conventional military doctrine said to gather your forces, overwhelm the enemy with superior numbers. But something told him that was exactly what the humans wanted. "They've been planning this for decades," he realized aloud. "This isn't just about military power. This is about intelligence." Across the galaxy, in the chambers of the Korean Trade Federation, Ambassador Lex T of the Hegemony waited impatiently for his meeting with the Federation Council. The Koreans were vital allies, supplying essential rare minerals to the Hegemony war machine. His communication device chimed. Finally, the Council would see him. But instead of the usual summons protocol, his screen filled with images, devastating pictures of the human colonies his forces had attacked. The images focused on civilian casualties, on destroyed hospitals and schools, on Hegemony troops rounding up humans who had surrendered. The timestamp showed these images had been sent to every member of the Federation Council. His device chimed again. The message was simple. Meeting cancelled. The Federation is reconsidering its relationship with the Hegemony. Similar scenes played out across a dozen worlds as carefully cultivated allies suddenly received evidence of Hegemony brutality. Evidence that had been collected, compiled, and distributed by human agents who had spent years embedding themselves in these societies. "They're gathering their fleets," Commander Lin said, studying the strategic display aboard the Dragonfire. "Consolidating their forces at key defensive positions." Admiral Singh's hologram nodded. As expected. Phase 3 is ready to begin. Lynn smiled grimly. My team is already in position. Half a galaxy away, on the hegemony homeworld of Vex Prime, 4 humans moved silently through the underground tunnels beneath the capital city. They wore no special equipment, carried no visible weapons. They didn't need to. Their bodies had been enhanced with cutting-edge technology, their minds linked through quantum entanglement. Captain Aisha Khan led the infiltration team, her augmented eyes seeing perfectly in the darkness. The genetic enhancements in her muscles and bones made her 3 times stronger than a normal human, while appearing no different externally. The nanites in her bloodstream could reconfigure themselves into tools or weapons as needed. Security. Checkpoint ahead, whispered Lieutenant Rio, his neural implants scanning the electromagnetic signatures beyond the next junction. Isha nodded to Dr. Chen, their tech specialist. Chen closed his eyes briefly, interfacing with his internal systems. The security cameras in the checkpoint looped their footage, showing an empty corridor. The electronic locks disengaged silently. They passed through undetected, just as they had 100 times before over the past 3 years. The hegemony had no idea that human operatives had been walking among them, mapping their defenses, planting backdoors in their most secure systems. The team reached their destination, an unremarkable maintenance tunnel directly beneath the hegemony's central military command. Chen placed his palm against the wall, releasing a swarm of microscopic drones that infiltrated the structure's systems. We're in, he reported moments later. I have access to their entire defense network. Show them, Aisha ordered. Above them, in the supposedly impenetrable command center, every screen suddenly changed. The hegemony commanders found themselves looking at live footage of their own war room, captured from impossible angles as if cameras had been placed everywhere. Then the footage changed, showing other secure locations throughout the hegemony homeworld. Weapons labs, shield generator stations, the private chambers of the High Council itself. A simple message appeared on every screen. We could have struck at any time. Back in the hegemony war room, Grand Marshal Vex's Cora stared in horror at the screens. His most trusted lieutenant approached cautiously. Sir, we've just lost contact with our primary defense grid, he reported, voice trembling, and we're receiving reports of similar infiltrations on 12 major worlds. Vex Cora sank slowly into his command chair. The humans hadn't just been hiding their military power all these years. They had been weaving an intricate web of intelligence and counterintelligence, positioning themselves to not just win a war, but to make it impossible for the hegemony to even fight effectively. How? He whispered. How did we not see this coming? On the main screen, a new message appeared, as if in direct response to his question. You saw exactly what we wanted you to see. That was your first mistake. Part 5. The Court of Galactic Opinion. The great chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with tense energy. Representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations sat in tiered rings, their diverse physiologies, requiring everything from methane atmospheres to gravity fields. At the center stood 2 figures, Ambassador Li Wei of Earth and High Executor Vex Mal of the Hegemony. This was humanity's first official appearance before the Council. For decades, humans had maintained observer status only, presenting themselves as a young species still finding their place among the stars. That pretense had ended. Esteemed members of the Council, Ambassador Li began, her voice calm despite the historical weight of the moment. Humanity comes before you not as supplicants, but as accusers. The Chamber's translation systems conveyed her words in 24 languages simultaneously. The Vexlar hegemony launched unprovoked attacks against our civilian settlements, she continued. They destroyed our homes, killed our people, and expected us to surrender without resistance. With a gesture, she activated the central display. High-definition footage of the attacks played for all to see. Hegemony warships firing on defenseless structures, civilian shuttles being shot down as they tried to escape, colonists being rounded up and processed for integration into the Hegemony Collective. We have endured in silence, Li said. We have watched as the hegemony did this to others. We maintained our distance, built our strength, and hoped diplomacy would prevail. That hope died with our colonists. High Executive Vexmal stepped forward, his armored carapace gleaming under the chamber lights. The Council knows the hegemony's methods, he countered. We bring order to chaos, structure to primitive systems. The humans appeared weak and underdeveloped. Their assimilation would have benefited them, as it has benefited dozens of species before them. The Arcturian representative, a crystalline being who rarely spoke at council meetings, chimed in. Yet they were not weak at all, were they, Executor? Your assimilation awakened something your intelligence failed to detect. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Everyone had heard rumors of what happened to the hegemony fleets. In her private chambers aboard the Dragonfire, Commander Lin reviewed the intelligence her operatives had gathered from the council races. What she found disturbed her deeply. 6 of them, she told Admiral Singh via secure quantum link, not just the hegemony. 6 council races were involved in planning the attack on our colonies. Singh's holographic image looked grim. The Arcturians? Yes, along with the Dorvan Collective, the Mbuzi Concord, the Takal Dominion and both Rigelian factions. Lin displayed the intercepted communications. They've been watching us for decades. They recognized patterns in our development that concerned them. They saw through our deception, Singh said. Partially, Lin corrected. They suspected we were more advanced than we appeared, but they had no idea of our true capabilities. They pushed the hegemony to attack us while they thought we were still vulnerable. The Admiral was silent for a long moment. Implement Phase 2. Lin's eyes widened. Are you certain? Once activated, the conspiracy is wider than we anticipated, Singh interrupted. We need to demonstrate that actions have consequences, not just to the hegemony, but to anyone who would threaten humanity. In the council chamber, debate raged about the appropriate response to the human hegemony conflict. The Arcturian representative was speaking, urging caution and non-intervention. Must allow the natural order to establish itself. If the humans have the strength to resist the hegemony, then... The Arcturian stopped mid-sentence as every light in the chamber dimmed momentarily. When power returned, something had changed. The central display activated without command, showing a simple image, a stylized dragon coiled around a planet. What is the meaning of this? Demanded the council elder, a venerable Tellarite whose species had founded the council millennia ago. Ambassador Lee smiled slightly. A demonstration, elder. Throughout the chamber, personal devices and communication systems belonging to the representatives of 6 specific species suddenly activated, displaying identical messages. Your conspiracy has been uncovered. The Arcturian's crystalline form vibrated in distress. What conspiracy? This is outrageous. Is it? Lee's voice remained calm. While the hegemony attacked our colonies directly, your governments provided intelligence, resources, and diplomatic cover for the operation. You believed you were containing a potential threat before it matured. The chamber erupted in denials and accusations. Lee raised her hand and somehow her simple gesture silenced the chaos. For centuries humanity has prepared for this moment, she said. While we presented ourselves as newcomers to the galactic stage, we were integrating fail-safes and oversight protocols into technologies we knew would spread throughout council space. As if on cue, reports began flooding in to the council representatives. Military, vessels suddenly unable to activate weapons systems, shield generators failing across key installations, communication networks experiencing unexplained limitations. The Mbuzi representative stood, his fur bristling with rage. You sabotaged our defenses. This is an act of war against all council races. No, Lee corrected, only against those who conspired to destroy us. Examine your systems closely. You'll find we've disabled only offensive capabilities, and only temporarily. Think of it as a cooling-off period. The Dorvan representative, a methane-breathing entity in an environmental suit, spoke with surprising calm. You've had this capability for how long? Decades, Lee answered honestly. Ever since your people purchased terraforming technology from what you thought was a minor human corporation, technology that spread throughout your worlds, building in protocols you never detected. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just revealed military power beyond what anyone had expected. They had demonstrated an intelligence network and technological integration that had compromised the security of multiple major civilizations without detection. "What do you want?" asked the council elder finally. Ambassador Lee's expression softened slightly. "Peace, justice for our dead, and a reconsidering of humanity's place in this council. We have hidden in the shadows long enough." The message was clear. Humanity was no longer pretending to be the newcomer, the lesser power finding its way. The dragons had not just awakened, they had been watching all along. Part 6. The Death Worlder's chief scientist Vexillara approached the containment chamber with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The human inside sat calmly on a bench, seemingly unconcerned by her captivity. Unlike most specimens from conquered species, this one hadn't been restrained. The previous attempts had ended with broken restraints and injured guards. Recording. "Begins," Vexillara announced for the scientific log. "Interview 17 with human subject." The woman looked up, her dark eyes studying the scientist with unsettling intelligence. "Dr. Kaya Patel," she corrected. "I have a name and 3 doctoral degrees. Subject seems a bit reductive, don't you think?" Vexilara's mandibles clicked in irritation. "Our scans of your physiological structure continue to present anomalies. Your bone density alone should make movement difficult, yet you appear to function with unusual efficiency." Dr. Patel smiled slightly. "What your scans call anomalies are simply adaptations to Earth, nothing special from our perspective." "Your perspective is flawed," Vexillara countered, activating a holographic display between them. "This shows standard planetary classifications used throughout the galaxy. Class M worlds, suitable for most intelligent life, feature gravity ranges of 0.8 to 1.1 standard units, atmospheric pressure between—" "I'm familiar with the classification system," Dr. Patel interrupted. "Earth sits outside those parameters in several categories. What's your point?" Vexillara expanded the display, highlighting Earth statistics. "Your world has gravity 1.4 times galactic standard, temperature variations that swing from 50 to plus 50 degrees in your measurement system, atmospheric oxygen levels that would be considered toxic on most worlds, radiation levels from your sun that would cause cellular damage to most species." The scientist's voice took on an almost reverent quality. "By any reasonable standard, Earth is classified as a death world, a planet so hostile that the evolution of advanced intelligence should be nearly impossible." Dr. Patel laughed. "We call it home. In fact, many humans find Earth too comfortable. They seek out more extreme environments for fun, climbing ice-covered mountains, diving into crushing ocean depths, running through deserts." Vexilara's compound eyes widened. "For pleasure? This makes no biological sense." "That's because you evolved on a world that never truly challenged you," Dr. Patel replied, standing up and stretching casually. The movement made the nearby guards flinch. "Humans are products of relentless natural selection. We survived ice ages, super predators, and competition from other hominids. Every human you meet is the result of ancestors who overcame impossible odds. And this explains your physical resilience?" "It's just the beginning," Dr. Patel said. "Our true advantage isn't physical, it's our adaptability. Humans can survive in environments from Arctic tundra to equatorial jungle, not because our bodies change, but because our minds devise solutions." She gestured to the facility around them. "You think technology is something separate from biology. We see it as an extension of evolution. We didn't evolve wings, so we built aircraft. We didn't evolve gills, so we created submarines." Vexillara made notes rapidly as the implications became clear. The hegemony had encountered thousands of species, but never one that evolved on such a hostile world. "And your warriors?" she asked. "Are they similarly adapted?" Dr. Patel's expression became unreadable. "I'm a scientist, not a soldier, but I suggest you consider what happens when creatures evolved for survival on a death world decide to focus all that adaptability on warfare. Deep in hegemony space, Grand Admiral Vex-Tan addressed the crew of the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest. Around his flagship, the largest fleet ever assembled in hegemony history prepared for their most daring operation. "The humans have demonstrated unexpected capabilities," the Admiral admitted, "but they have overextended themselves. Our intelligence confirms their homeworld remains vulnerable. The tactical display showed the planned assault. 300 warships would strike Earth directly, bypassing the outer colonies and human patrol routes through a dangerously unstable wormhole. The human dragons were scattered across the galaxy, dealing with the hegemony's diversionary attacks. Once we control their homeworld, these dragons must surrender," Vex-Tan concluded. "The continued existence of their species will depend on Kit." The massive fleet entered the wormhole in perfect formation. The turbulent journey lasted only minutes before they emerged into Earth's solar system, beyond the orbit of Mars. Victory seemed assured until the census officer reported something impossible. "Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the system, thousands of them all activating simultaneously." Vex-Tan rushed to the display. What had appeared to be an ordinary solar system was transforming before his eyes. Asteroid. Fields shimmered as cloaking fields deactivated, revealing massive defense platforms. Jupiter's moons glowed with suddenly active weapon systems. The space between planets filled with overlapping defense grids that hadn't been there seconds before. "Impossible," he whispered. "No species could build defenses on this scale without detection." The communications officer turned in alarm. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission and from Earth." The main view screen activated to show a human woman in a simple military uniform. "Admiral Amara Chen of Earth Defense Command." "Hegemony Fleet," she said calmly. "You seem lost. This is Earth space. I believe you were warned about the consequences of further aggression." "Your tricks don't frighten us," Vex-Tan responded defiantly. "My fleet will reduce your world to ash." Admiral Chen actually smiled. "You misunderstand. This isn't a negotiation or a threat. Your wormhole exit was precisely where we expected it to be. You're already inside the trap." Vex-Tan had just enough time to realize his mistake before Earth's defense grid activated. From thousands of positions throughout the solar system, gravity manipulation fields engaged simultaneously, creating a complex web of distorted space-time that immobilized the hegemony fleet. The massive dreadnought Inevitable Conquest, pride of the hegemony navy, hung helplessly in space, unable to fire weapons or engage engines, as localized fields of distorted gravity held it in place with forces. The Vexlar couldn't even comprehend. "Earth isn't just our homeworld," Admiral Chen explained almost gently. "It's our fortress. Every asteroid, every moon, every orbit has been prepared for this moment. For centuries." The view screen split to show multiple views of the trapped hegemony ships held in position by invisible forces as Earth's true defense fleet emerged from hiding. Ships that made even the Dragon-class vessels seem small by comparison. "So you should be honored," Admiral Chen concluded. "You're the first enemy in 500 years to see the full extent of Earth's defenses. You'll also be the last." The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Vex-Tan staring at his immobilized fleet and the approaching human warships. He finally understood what they had awakened. Not just dragons, but the children of a world that forged strength through adversity in ways his species could never comprehend. Part 7. The Hidden Dragons. The hegemony fortress world of Vex-Caltor was supposed to be impenetrable. 6 planetary shield generators, a defense fleet of 40 warships, and ground-based weapons that could reduce continents to ash. The Vexlar considered it their ultimate fallback position, a place where even the human dragons couldn't reach. They were wrong. In the shadows of the fortress's central command tower, 4 figures moved with impossible silence. They wore no powered armor or special equipment, just form-fitting black uniforms that seemed to absorb light. To casual observation, they appeared to be ordinary humans. They were anything but. Captain Raj Singh took point, his enhanced senses mapping the patrol patterns of the guards above. The neural interface at the base of his skull connected him directly to his team, allowing communication without words or gestures. His artificially enhanced muscles contained carbon fiber reinforcements that gave him strength well beyond human norms while maintaining a normal appearance. Set behind him, Lieutenant Ana Torres monitored the facility's security systems through her direct neural link to their electronic infrastructure. Her mind processed data at speeds no unmodified human could match, finding and exploiting weaknesses in the hegemony's network protocols. Her enhanced nervous system could react to threats before her conscious mind even registered them. Dr. Wei Chen carried what appeared to be simple medical equipment, but was actually a portable interface system that could hack any known technology. The nanites in his bloodstream could be programmed to repair injuries or reconfigure themselves into specialized tools as needed. Tech specialist Zoya Patel brought up the rear, her genetically enhanced vision capable of seeing into infrared and ultraviolet spectrums. The quantum entanglement nodes implanted in her cerebral cortex maintained their secure link to Earth Command, regardless of distance or interference. These were the true dragons of humanity, Tier 1 operatives whose bodies and minds had been enhanced through decades of advancing human technology integration, the ultimate expression of humanity's adaptability. Security system bypassed, Anna transmitted through the neural link. We have access to the target location. Proceed, Raj, responded silently, leading the team through a maintenance shaft that the hegemony believed to be too small for any infiltrator to use. The team's enhanced flexibility made such obstacles irrelevant. Their mission: destroy the hegemony's experimental quantum entanglement communications array before it could be activated. If successful, it would cripple the enemy's remaining ability to coordinate their forces across the galaxy. Half a galaxy away, Commander Lin Zhao stood on the bridge of the Dragonfire, coordinating simultaneous strikes against 3 hegemony supply bases. The neural interface connecting her to the ship fed constant updates directly into her consciousness. A priority alert flashed through her mind. Captain Singh's team had been discovered on Vex Kaltor. The hegemony had deployed their elite Crimson Guard soldiers enhanced with stolen technology and experimental combat drugs. Team is surrounded, reported Lin's communications officer. They're requesting immediate extraction, but the nearest support vessel is 20 minutes out at maximum speed. Lin made an instant decision. Prepare my shuttle and contact Dr. Kimura. Tell him to prepare the activation chamber. Her executive officer's face paled. Commander, the full protocol hasn't been approved for field deployment. The risks are mine to take, Lin finished. My team is trapped with no way out. We don't have time for debates. Dr. Kimura waited in the medical bay as Lin arrived at a run. The elderly scientist had been preparing for this moment for years, though he'd hoped it would never come. You understand what you're asking for? He asked gravely. Once activated, there's no going back. Lin nodded, already removing her uniform jacket. My parents helped design this technology. I've known this day might come since I was chosen for the program. The activation chamber resembled a medical pod, its interior lined with neural interface nodes and injection systems. As Lin lay inside, Dr. Kimura entered a complex sequence into the control panel. Your parents would be proud, he said softly. They always believed you would carry their work forward. Lin had only fragmented memories of her parents. They had died when she was 7, their research vessel destroyed in what was officially recorded as an accident. Only years later did she learn the truth. They had been pioneering researchers in human technology integration, working on the bleeding edge of what was possible. And they had prepared their only daughter for the future they foresaw. The dormant enhancements in your cellular structure will fully activate, Dr. Kimura explained as the chamber sealed. Your neural capacity will expand exponentially. The pain will be significant. Lin closed her eyes. Just do it. The process began with fire in her veins as the dormant nanotechnology throughout her body activated. Every nerve ending screamed as her neural pathways reconfigured themselves to handle vastly increased data flow. Her consciousness expanded in ways she couldn't have imagined, connecting to systems and networks she hadn't known existed. Memories locked away since childhood surfaced, her parents' voices guiding her through mental exercises that now made perfect sense. They had been preparing her for this transformation all along. When the chamber finally opened, Lin was something more than human. Information flowed through her mind like water. She could feel the ship's systems as extensions of her own body. The quantum entanglement nodes in her brain activated, connecting her consciousness directly to Earth's defense network. Dr. Kimura stepped back as she rose from the chamber, her movements carrying an inhuman grace. "How do you feel?" Lin took a moment to organize her thoughts, which now processed at speeds that would have overwhelmed her former self. "Like I've finally woken up." On Vex Kaltor, Captain Singh's team had taken refuge in a maintenance hub surrounded by Crimson Guard forces. Their enhanced capabilities had allowed them to fight their way through dozens of regular troops, but the Crimson Guard was different, stronger, faster, more lethal. 8 minutes to breach, Anna reported, her enhanced mind calculating the guards. Progress through the reinforced doors. A proximity alert suddenly pinged through their neural network. Something was approaching at impossible speed. Through the sealed windows, they saw a small shuttle burning through the atmosphere, moving with maneuvers that should have torn any craft apart. Hegemony defense turrets fired desperately, but the shuttle seemed to anticipate each shot, shifting position microseconds before energy beams reached it. The craft didn't land. It simply hovered outside the window as its hull reconfigured, creating an opening. Commander Lin stood inside, but she was changed. Her eyes glowed with internal light, her movements so precise they seemed choreographed. "Time to go," she said, her voice overlaid with harmonics that bypassed their ears and spoke directly to their neural links. As the Crimson Guard finally breached the doors behind them, Lin raised her hand. The approaching soldiers froze in mid-motion as localized quantum fields disrupted the connection between their minds and bodies. The team didn't question their miraculous rescue. They had all heard rumors of the final stage of human technology integration, the ultimate expression of the Dragon Protocol that turned select humans into living interfaces between physical reality and the quantum realm. As they boarded the shuttle, Raj looked at Lin with new understanding. "You're one of them, a true dragon." Lin smiled as the shuttle accelerated away from the doomed fortress. Behind them, the quantum disruption she had initiated spread throughout the hegemony systems, cascading into a failure that would render the entire facility useless. "We all have our roles to play," she said, her consciousness simultaneously coordinating the shuttle's escape, monitoring the mission outcome and communicating with a dozen other operatives across the galaxy. The hegemony thought they were fighting ships and soldiers. They never understood what they were really facing. The true dragons of humanity had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. Part 8. The Ultimatum. The skies of Vexu Prime filled with stars that weren't stars at all. Hundreds of human vessels hung in orbit around the hegemony homeworld, their sleek black hulls absorbing sunlight rather than reflecting it. The Dragon-class flagship Dragonfire held position directly above the capital city, its massive form casting a symbolic shadow over the seat of hegemony power. In the Grand Council chamber, the ruling elite of the once mighty empire argued bitterly. 3 weeks of devastating defeats had reduced their forces to a fraction of their former strength. Supply chains had collapsed. Allied worlds had abandoned them. Now, the enemy that they had so fatally underestimated surrounded their homeworld itself. "We should activate the planetary defense grid," shouted General Vexmal, his chitinous armor cracked from a recent battle. "The humans wouldn't dare destroy our homeworld with billions of civilians." "You still don't understand what we're facing," countered Administrator Vexilori, one of the few moderates with enough courage to speak. "They could have destroyed us at any time. They chose not to. That choice can be withdrawn." The chamber's main display activated without command. The image of Commander Lin Zhao appeared, her enhanced features subtly different from a standard human. The glow behind her eyes and the unnatural precision of her movements betrayed what she had become. "People of the hegemony," she began, her voice rendered perfectly in their language. "Your military forces have been defeated. Your government's crimes have been documented. The time for fighting is over." High Executor Vexkran stepped forward, his ceremonial battle staff clenched in his claws. "We will never surrender to prey species. The hegemony has ruled for 1,000 years. Lin's expression didn't change. Your rule ends today. These are our terms. Your military will stand down immediately. Your government will transfer power to a transitional council that includes representatives from all species under hegemony control. Those responsible for war crimes will face justice. In return, your civilians will remain unharmed, and your worlds will retain cultural autonomy under a new democratic system. She paused, her enhanced mind simultaneously coordinating the massive fleet around the planet while conducting this negotiation. You have 3 hours to decide, she concluded. Choose wisely. The transmission ended, leaving the council in uproar. The chamber divided into factions almost immediately. Hardliners calling for a final, glorious last stand, moderates arguing for acceptance of the inevitable. Deep beneath the capital city, in the Planetary Defense Control Center, General Vexmal gathered his most loyal officers. They had secretly moved up the command codes, bypassing the council's authority. The humans think they've won, he hissed, activating the master control panel. But the hegemony does not surrender. If we must die, we will take these arrogant mammals with us. On screens around the room, the planetary defense system began its activation sequence. Massive cannons emerged from hidden bunkers across the planet's surface, powering up to fire on the human fleet. What the general didn't know was that his supposedly secure facility had been compromised weeks earlier. In a maintenance tunnel 3, levels below, Lieutenant Ana Torres monitored the defense system's activation through her neural interface. They're powering up the planetary guns, she reported to Commander Lin. Targeting solutions are being calculated for all ships in orbit. Lin processed this information instantly. The Dragonfire's automated response protocols would interpret a planetary-scale attack as justification for lethal force. If those guns fired, the ship's AI would respond with weapons that would render Vex Prime uninhabitable. We need to stop them, she decided. Contact our asset. In the Defense Control Center, a junior technician named Vexital received the signal through the modified communication implant he'd been given 3 days earlier. For months, he had been part of a growing underground resistance, hegemony, citizens who opposed their government's expansionist policies. The human intelligence operatives had found them, armed them, and prepared them for this moment. Vexital looked around the room. 20 hardline officers, all focused on the weapon controls. One technician with access to the power distribution system. He transmitted back, "Ready." Commander Lin's voice spoke directly into his mind. Now. Vexital activated the sabotage package he'd installed in the facility's power grid. The main lights flickered and died as emergency systems engaged. In the momentary confusion, he moved to the main control panel and inserted the quantum encryption key he'd been given. The firing controls locked down completely as warning messages flashed across all screens. Critical system failure. Manual. Override impossible, General Vexmal roared in fury, turning to find the source of the sabotage, his compound eyes fixed on Vexital, who stood calmly by the disabled controls. "Traitor," the general screamed, drawing his ceremonial dagger. "You doom our species." "I save it," Vexital replied, standing his ground even as the massive general charged him. "The humans never wanted to destroy us. You would have forced their hand." The general never reached him. The floor beneath his feet suddenly liquefied as hidden human technology activated. He sank to his thorax in the suddenly viscous material, which hardened instantly around him. Throughout the facility, similar scenes played out as resistance members revealed themselves, neutralizing the hardliners with non-lethal technology provided by human operatives. In the council chamber above, Administrator Vexilori received word of the attempted activation of the planetary defenses. With this evidence of the hardliners' willingness to risk genocide, the moderate faction finally found its courage. "The general has attempted to condemn our entire species to death," she announced to the shocked council. "We cannot allow such madness to continue." The chamber's guard captain, secretly part of the resistance, gave the signal. His troops moved swiftly, surrounding the hardline council members, while civilian administrators aligned with the moderates stepped forward. "I propose an immediate vote on accepting the human terms," Vexilori declared. "The alternative is extinction." The vote passed within minutes. Those who had championed the attack on human colonies found themselves restrained and removed from the chamber. Vex Lorry, now acting High Administrator of the Hegemony, opened a channel to the Dragonfire. "Commander Lin," she said formally, "on behalf of the Hegemony, I accept your terms. We surrender unconditionally." Lin's image appeared on the display once more. "A wise decision, Administrator. Prepare to receive our diplomatic team. The transition begins today." Aboard the Dragonfire, Lin disconnected from the neural interface chair, allowing her enhanced mind a moment of relative quiet. Her team, Anna, Raj, Wei, and Zoya, waited for her assessment. "Is it over?" Anna asked. Lin shook her head. "The fighting is over. The hard part begins now, building something better from the ruins of an empire." Outside the viewport, the sun rose over Vex Prime. The shadow of the Dragonfire retreated as light spread across the Hegemony capital. A fitting symbol, Lin thought, for the dawn of a new era. The dragons had brought fire, but they had also brought hope. Part 9. A New Galactic Order 5. Years after the Hegemony's surrender, the Great Chamber of the Galactic Council looked nothing like it once had. The hierarchical tiers that once separated major species from minor ones had been replaced by a circular arrangement where all representatives sat as equals. At the center stood Ambassador Li Wei of Earth, addressing the assembled delegates from 43 spacefaring civilizations. "The Cooperative Pact enters its 5th year with unprecedented success," she announced, gesturing to the holographic statistics floating above the chamber. "Trade volume between former Hegemony worlds and their neighbors has tripled. Scientific exchange programs have yielded breakthroughs in medicine, agriculture, and clean energy. Most importantly, for the first time in recorded galactic history, no active conflicts exist between any council species. The chamber filled with the diverse sounds of approval from beings whose evolutionary paths had begun on worlds light years apart." Crystalline Arcturians chimed melodically. Methane-breathing Darvans released bubbles of colored gas in traditional celebration patterns. Even the Vexlar representatives, now part of a democratic federation rather than an empire, clicked their mandibles in the rhythm of acceptance. "None of this erases the painful history that brought us here," Li continued, her tone sobering. "The colonies destroyed by the Hegemony, the lives lost in the conflict that followed. We remember them as we build this new order." A somber moment of silence followed, respected by every being in the chamber regardless of their biological nature or cultural background. "Humanity kept its true nature hidden for centuries out of fear," Li concluded. "That era has ended. We pledge our technology, our strength and our unique perspective, not as conquerors or saviors, but as partners in creating a galaxy where diversity is celebrated rather than suppressed." As the session concluded, the Arcturian Prime Crystalline approached Li privately. The being's translucent form shimmered with internal light as it communicated. "Your species continues to surprise us," it observed. "When your true capabilities were revealed, many expected humans to simply replace the Hegemony as the dominant power. Instead, you dismantled the very concept of galactic dominance." Li smiled. "Dragons don't need to rule to be strong." "Commander." Linja walked slowly through the central plaza of New Horizon Colony, marveling at the transformation. Where Hegemony warships had once rained destruction, gleaming buildings now reached toward the sky. The colony had been rebuilt larger and more beautiful than before, but with a crucial difference. It was no longer exclusively human. A group of children raced past her, laughing as they played some complicated game involving holographic projectors. Human children with golden hair and dark skin ran alongside young Vexilla, their chitinous bodies not yet fully hardened with age. A floating Arcturian child glided above them, serving as a living scorekeeper with its ability to change colors. "They don't see enemies when they look at each other," observed Administrator Vex Lorry, who had traveled from the former Hegemony homeworld to represent her people at the colony's 5-year commemoration ceremony. "They see only friends who happen to look different." Lin nodded, watching as the children organized themselves for another round of their game. "That's the point of all this. Not just peace in our time, but something that lasts beyond us. They continued their tour, passing through areas where human and alien technologies had been combined in ways neither could have achieved alone. Quantum-enhanced farming systems yielded crops tailored to multiple species' nutritional needs. Medical facilities offered treatments derived from a dozen different evolutionary approaches to healing. Your kind could have simply destroyed us, Vexillori said quietly. Many among my people still don't understand why you didn't, Lynn considered the question carefully. Her enhanced mind could have calculated a dozen strategic and ethical reasons, but instead she chose a simpler truth. Because dragons don't just breathe fire, she said. They protect, they build, they remember. The administrator's compound eyes studied Lynn's face. And what do dragons fear, Commander? Lynn smiled. That's a good question. That evening, Lynn returned to the Dragonfire, which remained Earth's flagship despite newer vessels with more advanced technology. Some symbols were worth preserving. Admiral Singh's hologram appeared in her private chamber as soon as she entered. His expression told her this wasn't a social call. "You've seen the reports?" he asked without preamble. Lynn nodded, her enhanced mind already processing the data package that had been transmitted to her neural interface. Deep space monitoring stations at the edge of the galaxy had detected unusual signals, patterns, too regular to be natural phenomena, too alien to match any known species. The quantum analysis suggests technological capabilities beyond anything we've encountered, she noted, reviewing the frequencies and energy signatures. Beyond even our own. Singh's hologram nodded gravely. There's more. We've decrypted portions of the hegemony's oldest historical records. Their original homeworld wasn't Vex Prime. They came from a system near the galactic rim, fleeing something they called the darkness between stars. Lynn felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. They were refugees. Their entire conquering empire began because they were running from something. Precisely, Singh confirmed. And now, after thousands of years of silence, something is moving at the edge of our detection range. Multiple somethings. The implications hung unspoken between them. The hegemony, for all its cruelty and aggression, might have been merely the harbinger of something far worse. Lynn moved to the viewport, gazing out at the rebuilt colony below. Children still played in the central plaza, visible as tiny moving figures under the colony's evening lights, different species from across the galaxy, learning to live together, protecting their shared future, something worth fighting for. Something worth saving. Activate Protocol Hourglass, she decided, naming the contingency plan created for exactly this scenario. Full spectrum analysis of the signals, quiet reinforcement of the deep space monitoring network, and... She paused. Knowing what this would mean, begin preparation for awakening the remaining sleeper ships. Singh's eyebrows rose. The Leviathan-class vessels, they've been dormant since they were built. Lynn nodded solemnly. If what's coming is what the hegemony fled from, the dragons we've shown the galaxy so far are just the beginning. It's time to wake the Titans. As Singh's hologram faded, Lynn returned her gaze to the colony below. The peace they had built was precious and fragile. The children playing in that plaza deserved to grow up without knowing the kind of war she had fought. Sometimes, she whispered to herself, the dragon fights not because it wants to, but because it must. Beyond the edge of the galaxy, ancient and patient forces began to move, and humanity prepared to meet them. The dragons were awake, and they would not sleep again.